It's time for that famous segment of ours, the Perfect Labor Storm segment. On each episode, we are going to focus on just one disruptive, surprising, or worrisome trend that we believe you should know. So here is today's Perfect Labor Storm. In keeping with our flashback theme for 2022, I'm going to start with one statistic and trend that invariably gets people to say, "Can you repeat that?" So here we go. During the 1960s and 1970s, as baby boomers came of working age and immigration was robust, nearly 2.5 million new workers entered the labor markets each year. While it dipped to below 2 million in the 1980s, the millennials came of age in the 90s and early 2000s. Again, we experienced unprecedented growth in the labor markets. 2.5 million new workers each year entered the labor markets during that time. By then, immigration became a political dumpster fire, baby boomers started to retire, and our birth rate declined. The result now is that today, fewer than 500,000 new workers enter the workforce each year. And that trend is likely to continue for the remainder of this decade and well into the next decade. The only immediate solution is more immigration, for which our leaders in Washington and beyond have little appetite for. Consequently, recession or not, labor shortages will continue to be part of the new normal in this never normal that we're living in. Ira, what were some of the most memorable trends or stats that you heard in 2022?
Well, that was certainly one of them. And, I probably did 100 podcast interviews and conferences. And that certainly was the one statistic that I shared, or the one trend that I shared that got the most attention. But there's so many other parts to that. So when we talk about why, what the labor markets are going to look like in the future, we're going to hit on some of those topics today, because we certainly have a large number of people that have not necessarily quiet quit. That wasn't one of the words or the themes today, but quiet quitting, or some call it ambition recession. People just starting to reflect on life, and whether you want to call it work-life balance or life-work integration, but talk about flexibility and taking care of themselves, and not burning out, and paying more attention to mental health and mental awareness. Those are some of the trends. But I guess from something that slips by, in addition to what you just shared, that we just don't have a lot of new workers coming into the workplace, is labor participation rates have dropped. And, many times it gets pointed at, many people point to young people. And partially that's true. I think you shared a stat just yesterday with me that the largest percentage of young people under the age of 29 in the history of our country are living with their parents. And
That's right.
therefore they have, they're not buying homes. They're not even renting. But they are spending money on more luxury items. And if they have, I wish we were there, that I didn't have a mortgage and other essential expenses, that I can just live with someone. And that means I'd have a lot more money for travel, for luxuries, and so forth. So they're still spending. They're just not spending money in the traditional way. But because of that, and then compounding that with the flexibility and people looking for more balance, and not waiting till they were 60 or 65 to retire, and then being too old to enjoy life, they're enjoying life now. There is there's a lower participation rate, both for males and females, but especially males without a college degree, with only a high school diploma, has really plummeted. But it didn't happen because of the pandemic. It's been happening for 70 years. So I think we can go down a rabbit hole of all the things we talk about with the perfect labor storm. But what you hit on, certainly with lower immigration, baby boomers retiring, lower birth rate, and a much lower participation rate, the new normal is going to be a never normal.